Would I be the asshole for having a vegetarian-only wedding? New to Reddit as I need opinions. My fiancé and I, both 30s, are getting married in a couple of months. We now need to finalize our menu choices for our guests. Now, we are vegetarian. In general, we are pretty relaxed vegetarians. If we go out, we totally don't mind if our friends' family choose meat or fish to eat, same if we visit family. As long as there is a veggie option, then great. Now back to the wedding. On looking at the choices, and given it's our day, we thought it would be nice to have a fully vegetarian menu. My 32F parents are paying for the meal and have been absolutely stunned by this choice. They say it's disrespectful to people who aren't in the vegetarian culture, and also disrespectful to our own values in terms of ensuring our friends have a nice time. They say it's forcing our ethics on other people. My viewpoint is, it is one meal only, on our day, where I'm sure it will be delicious whatever they're served. None of our friends have ever complained when coming to our house for vegetarian food, but my parents say it's different at a wedding because people expect luxury food, especially if they are traveling from abroad. Many are, and apparently this needs to include meat. I am honestly Natalie Imbruglia torn on this. Personally, I don't mind that much if our guests eat meat, but it is inconsistent with our own life choices and it is our day, so that could make it feel inauthentic. And I think the whole focus on meat thing is quite generational. My parents are in their 60s. My fiancé agrees with me, but the issue is my parents are, very kindly, paying for the meal. Would I be the asshole if I got everyone only vegetarian food? So you can see by my username, I love meat. I also love vegetables. And if you give me a plate of grilled balsamic vegetables, I would be in my glory. I'm shocked by the amount of adults that don't eat vegetables. If you go vegetarian, I'd go Italian. Cheese lasagna, eggplant rollatini, then something vegan to accommodate anyone who is vegan or maybe is just going lower carb. There's a lot of ways to not have meat and make it a filling meal where people won't miss it. Frittatas and cheeses with the cocktail hour or coal-fired pizzas and flatbreads. Pasta with the main course. I feel like a lot of people hear vegetarian and think vegan. There's nothing wrong with vegan. It's just gonna be really hard to send a bunch of carnivores home full while not offering dairy or eggs. Not the asshole. Just as with dry weddings, it's a decision that is up to the spouses on their day. As you say, it's a single meal. No one dies if they don't drink alcohol or eat meat or fish for a meal. You don't have to get wasted or eat half an ox to have fun. I believe your parents have an old-fashioned and narrow view of vegetarian cuisine, and probably imagine that guests will be served only a bowl of salad as if they were bunnies. Of course, expect other guests to also protest like your parents are doing or decide not to come. In that case, their choice. Not the asshole, but please avoid meat substitutes as that is not something that people generally consider for allergies or sensitivities. Nuts and soy can be problematic. Nah. Yeah, obligatory, you can decide whatever you want for your own wedding blah blah blah, but expect more pushback to come. Personally, I say it's not worth the hassle and you should include maybe a few meat options, but you do you. You mentioned in the judgment bot that most of your guests are not vegetarian, so I think out of courtesy, the menu should be brought up in advance, and be prepared for the possibility that some may choose to not attend. But like I said above, not worth it. Having a vegetarian-only wedding has some potentially negative consequences, but choosing to include some meat does not really. I don't really understand your inauthentic argument. Not the asshole, but if it is a deal breaker for you, then pay for the food yourself. If your parents are fully funding, then you may just want to be more flexible. Why WBTA? Think of it this way. What do you expect, as a vegetarian, when you go to a carnivore's wedding? A vegetarian option. If they know you're vegetarian and don't provide one, leaving you to eat carrot sticks and cake, you're upset. Same goes for your wedding. Be the host you expect everyone else in your life to be. Provide a carnivore option, or at least fish, and you are playing by the same rules you expect everyone else to play by. Am I the asshole for banning my roommate's girlfriend for touching my raw cookie dough? I rent a room to a lad called AJ. He's 31. He is dating Nina, 25 female. I don't mind if AJ has people over or anything, but Nina has been here a lot. I am already annoyed because Nina always asks to borrow stuff from me. Can I borrow a pair of pants for work? I forgot mine. Do you have extra face masks or can I borrow lotion, tampons, socks? I have always told her no. I don't make a lot and I don't loan things. She was furious I wouldn't give her a pad, but I use a diva cup and period underwear and I am not sharing those. Face vomiting. She got mad I wouldn't loan her a dress for their surprise date night. I told her if she asks again for anything of mine, then she's not allowed back in the apartment. I told her to stop acting like we are friends and don't use my stuff. Short of like medical things, band-aids, she should go buy her own stuff. This led to AJ being mad at me for making her feel unwelcome. I said I don't want her around at all and the next time it happens I'm gonna ban her. He said she is not that bad. I ended up letting him know one more step over the line and she's gone. And if he breaks that ban, he can find a new place as he is month to month. Nina ended up being fined for a few days. I was making cookies from scratch. They come in from some date. She sees the cookies and asks the kind. I tell her chocolate chip and she comes over, sticks her finger in the dough, and takes a chunk. I got so mad I told her to get out. She's banned. I didn't care. When AJ tried to argue with me I said I am not renewing his lease if she's not gone in 2 minutes. They left and I am now being called an asshole by friends. Am I the asshole? Nina needs to learn how to pack better. If she knows she's going to be over when she has work the next day, make sure you bring something you can wear to work. If you know that your period is coming, pack the items you need. In that regard, better yet, always carry some in your bag since periods aren't usually considerate. If she's been told that you don't like her touching anything of yours, then she should have been able to restrain herself from sticking her fingers in your dough. While it seems a lot to ban her for that alone, it's not just because of that. It's because of all of the inconvenience and lack of consideration she brings into your life. Not the asshole in the slightest. You opened up your home and now they're mad that they can't just take whatever they want? Fuck that. Reminds me of a girl my buddy was dating a decade or so ago. Anytime we went anywhere, she wouldn't have money and my buddy didn't make a lot. He'd always say, "Hey, can she have some of your pitcher, beer?" Or if I would order an appetizer at dinner she'd just help herself and say, "I thought they were for sharing." It got to the point we stopped inviting our own buddy to go and do anything with us until they broke up. Not the asshole. You are not her friend. You are not her roommate. You don't owe Nina anything and she's not entitled to your items or time just because she's dating your roommate. You set clear boundaries with Nina and informed AJ of the consequences if she crossed the line again. And then she decided to help herself by sticking her hand into your cookie dough. Nina was deliberately antagonizing you and AJ isn't going to do a damn thing about it because he's not going to jeopardize the benefits of his relationship. Post-COVID, I would have kicked her out for putting her grubby hands in the dough too. She could have asked, and then you might have said, "Get a spoon." She's not housebroken, she needs to go. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The woman is a mooch, who at this point seems to be needling you intentionally. Now that AJ has thrown the flying monkeys at you, your relationship with him is probably not retrievable, so it's time to give him notice to quit whether or not Nina reappears. Not the asshole. She asked to borrow pants? Lol. Okay, Nina sounds incredibly obnoxious. Does she thinks it's cute to be that unprepared? She didn't know she had to go to work? Aw. Putting her finger in your cookie dough, after everything you said to her and AJ, is just too much. She sounds like a nightmare. Am I the asshole for refusing to financially support my pregnant daughter and her family? Let me give some history on my daughter and her life to explain why we're in this position. My daughter was 18 when she told me she wanted to marry her boyfriend of a year. My husband and I, both 60s currently, did not want to see her get married so young, either of them, and we advised them to wait and keep dating. To live life a little first. His family had the same response. So to show us all they could do it, they went and got married at the courthouse with just some of their friends as witnesses. Once they were married, my husband and I tried to be supportive without getting in the way. They were so young but also old enough to make decisions for themselves, and we did not want to be those parents who step in and make things worse again. The marriage was doomed from the start, but they had 2 children together. My grandson Indigo, now 12 male, was first and he was followed by my granddaughter Sky, now 11 female. My grandchildren were loved, but their parents were not happy together. Their dad was not a good husband to my daughter, but he was an excellent father, and my daughter was not a good wife to their dad, but she was a good mom. He died a few days before my granddaughter's 5th birthday. My daughter found love quickly afterward and married her current husband even faster than her first. From the time they said I do, my daughter and her husband have spent tens of thousands trying to make my grandchildren his. They went to court for him to adopt them, but the judge asked to speak with the children and said no after their meeting. They appealed the decision and lost again. They paid thousands for a therapist to speak in court about the benefit of adopting for the kids. The court assigned their own therapist and denied the request again. The only real break from this was when the courts were only handling emergency hearings and adoption requests were delayed due to the pandemic. But once they could, they were back at it. My husband and I asked why our daughter didn't wait to allow the kids the choice. But she wouldn't hear tell of it. They borrowed money to pay for these therapists and lawyers and court fees. Each time the request to adopt was denied by a judge. Now my daughter is pregnant by her husband and they do not have the money they once did. It all went on the many failed attempts to adopt my grandchildren. My daughter turned to us, husband and myself, about a month ago now and shared how tight their finances are and asked for our help financially. My husband and I told her we would discuss it, but we're on the same page. We do not feel we should help. We feel like doing so will allow our daughter and her husband to continue this pointless adoption pursuit and is not in the best interest of the family. My daughter was furious when we told her no. She asked how we can turn our backs on family. She has said we are clearly not fit to be parents or grandparents. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. And if I were you, I'd be concerned about Indigo and Sky. If they blew up at you about this, they most likely will blame the children as well. Based on the continued blockage from the courts as well as the children for the adoption, I'd be very worried about them. Maybe check in with your grandchildren privately if you can. Wow. I'm happy that she is a good mom. She doesn't sound like a good adult. Money is finite. This adoption pursuit, even with the best of intentions, should have ended after the judge met with the children. Clearly they did not want to be adopted by the new husband, and that should have been that. Instead they chose to bankrupt themselves. Why? So the stepdad feels accepted by her children? So he's an authority figure? So he doesn't feel like he stepped into another man's shoes? Anyway, irresponsibility on her part does not make it a burden for you and your partner. Isn't it funny how support never means listen to my story and give me good advice, but it always means give me money so you pay for my choices. You are right not to throw money when they have proven that the pursuit is pointless. I bet you have asked how this third, fourth, fifth attempt is any different, and you are still waiting for an answer? Einstein said, insanity is trying the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Not the asshole, of course. Not the asshole. Your daughter needs to actually listen to her children, or she'll not see them again as soon as they both turn 18. She's so blinded by this idea of the perfect family, that she'll lose her kids in the process. Not the asshole. Your daughter sounds like a right headache. And honestly, by the way you express support via distance, sounds like you're smart and good parents. Helicopter or enabling parents always think they are doing the best when they truly cause the most overall damage. Why is she and the husband so insistent on adoption when the kids don't want it? Not the asshole. I wouldn't be sure about them continuing the adoption pursuit. I'd keep an eye on the grandchildren you already have. He gets his own child no, and maybe will lose interest in his stepchildren. It could also happen that they will start neglecting them or using them as babysitters. Parentification of older children happens often, especially if they have financial difficulties. Am I the asshole for refusing to support my brother's financial plans at the cost of my own? I'm not usually on Reddit, but I really needed somebody to settle this, so here goes. My 25F brother, 22M, recently asked me for money. He's planning to buy a property to flip and needs an extra $10,000 to cover initial costs. 2 years ago, I loaned him $5,000 for a similar project, which he eventually repaid. Since then, he's asked for money multiple times and I've given him around $15,000 more in total, but not all of it's been repaid. My husband, 28M, and I are saving for a down payment on a house. We've reached a point where lending money is directly impacting our plans. When my brother asked for the money, I told him we couldn't afford to help this time. He called me selfish. My parents have been blowing up my phone since, demanding I help him, because family should support each other no matter what. My husband fully supports my decision and thinks it's time to set firm boundaries, and I think I agree with him, but I'm starting to doubt myself. Am I the asshole? Some extra context: I told him I'd be lenient with getting him to repay the other loans because his husband was hospitalized and he had medical bills to pay, but that's in the far past now and he seems to think he's been let off the hook. Not the asshole. You need to take care of your core family first. Since then, he's asked for money multiple times and I've given him around $15,000 more in total, but not all of it's been repaid. My husband, 28M, and I are saving for a down payment on a house. We've reached a point where lending money is directly impacting our plans. When my brother asked for the money, I told him we couldn't afford to help this time. He called me selfish. My parents have been blowing up my phone since, demanding I help him, because family should support each other no matter what. Suggest that mom and dad loan your brother the dollar and see how fast they backpedal. Not the asshole. He repaid the first loan, eventually. But he's not repaid the other money. Perhaps if he'd done that, you'd have the funds available to loan him, now. But he hasn't, and you don't. And, no, family should not support each other, no matter what. That's a line used by people trying to manipulate you. Not the asshole. I am still waiting for the rest of the last $15,000 I loaned him. This is directly affecting us purchasing a home, to live in, not to flip for profit. He is actively setting us back in our life goals and stability for the future. Once that has been repaid in full, will I consider his request? Not the asshole. I'd suggest asking your parents and brother out for lunch. At lunch, break out the details on how your parents can get a loan, mortgage, second mortgage, personal loan, whatever, to cover your brother's needs, and how happy you are that they emphasize family first, so would definitely be fine with putting their home on the line. Emphasize how they should also loan you the same amount so you can get out of renting quicker and start building equity. Emphasize family first to them so they understand just what they are asking you. Be prepared for your parents to leave and stick you with the bill, so take them someplace that is inexpensive. Not the asshole. If it was me, there wouldn't be any more loans at all. You're his sister, not his financier. I suspect he's given your parents a warped view for them to expect you to finance his investments at the cost of your goals. Not the asshole. Your family feels entitled to your money. Tell them you have no money to lend and never ever give them any reason to believe you have much money in the bank.